Hi everyone, my name is Arthur Knopflin and I'm a DevOps engineer at Trackit, and today I'm gonna present you Deadline. Deadline is a video rendering orchestration tool. It will allow you to automate and simplify the video rendering coming from multiple sources. It supports more than 80 different content creation applications, and finally it will allow you to manage a render farm either deployed entirely in the cloud or in your company, so on-premise, or a bit of each, that's to say hybrid. For this demonstration, I'm gonna use a simple Blender composition that I could even render using the render image, render animation button. However, as this Blender file is composed of 196 frames, it will take a lot of time to render everything on my Nimble workstation, and it is time during which I won't be able to work on my workstation, or at least I will be bothered, as most of the resources will be used to do the rendering. For that, we are gonna delegate the video rendering to a distance farm. That's where Deadline comes on stage. We can find it directly in the render menu of Blender. We have a new entry named Submit to Deadline, so I'm gonna select it, and it's gonna open a new window that is part of Deadline software. On this window, I'm gonna be able to submit a new job to the render farm. Here I'm gonna check that we are indeed using the render farm I've configured earlier. So here I'm gonna specify a limit of 5 machines because I don't want to spin up the whole data center for my simple Blender composition. And finally, I'm gonna change the rendering output folder. I'm just gonna add a subfolder to it. And here we can check that we are indeed rendering the complete Blender file, the 196 frames, and we are going to render the file 5 frames by 5 frames. So we can submit the job, and here we go, we have our confirmation message. We can also check that it works by looking at Deadline monitor, so here we go. We can see the job we just submitted here, and on the right panel you can see all the subtasks that have been created. So you can see that for each subtask we have 5 frames at the same time, and except for the final where we only have 1. And in the bottom panel we have all the workers. For now it's an empty panel because we've just submitted the job, so we need to wait for the server to boot. One of the advantages of having it run the farm on the cloud, and particularly on AWS, is that we can take advantage of spot instances, and that's actually the choice we made for this farm. A spot instance at AWS is a different pricing option that allows you to use EC2 instances at a discount of up to 90% by using unused servers in the data center. The only counterpart is that the AWS can reclaim those services at any moment, but it doesn't really have an impact for video rendering because we can stop and restart the rendering at any moment without losing a lot of work in the process. And the main advantages of going with a spot instance is obviously the price, because we are going to be able to do video rendering at a very attractive rate. So I'll stop the video for now, and I'll come back as soon as the first servers show up. So here we go. Our first 3 servers appeared, the next 2 just show up actually. They are still concluding the startup sequence, but as soon as they are finished, they will start picking tasks, and they will start rendering the frames. It's gonna start in a few seconds, so I'm just going to wait. And that's it, we have our 5 servers all in rendering state. They obviously all pick different tasks, and we can also see that we have a progress bar for each task. We can also check our output folder that we are indeed receiving the frames in it. So we can see that we already received the frame 1, 6, 11, 16. That all corresponds to the first frames of the 5 first tasks, so 1, 6, 11, 16, and the 21th should appear in a few seconds. So here it is. And The worker will continue and they will pick the next tasks up until we have rendered our 196 frames. So for now, it's still gonna work on the 25th first frames, and we are just gonna wait a little bit for it to complete. So that's it. Our 5 first tasks have finished. We can see the 4 next have already been selected. The 5th next has just been selected too. We can see that we have a rendering time estimated at 14 minutes for the full animation. So here the rendering is gonna continue up until 196 frames are assigned and rendered. And when the rendering will be completed, the server are going to stop automatically and we will stop paying for them. We can also check that the rendering is working fine by opening the already rendered frames on the computer. So for that I'm gonna use DGV Viewer. As we have at least the 25th first frames, and since there's 24 frames in a second, I will be able to show at least 1 second of video. Also, since we are using a Spot render farm, we can see directly in the AWS console the savings we did. So I've opened the Spot request of the farm in the console, and if we scroll down a bit, we can see the 5 servers that have been started to do our job. And if I keep scrolling down, we have a saving panel. And so we can see that we actually spent $39 on our rendering servers during the last 3 days. And we also have an estimation of how much we will have paid using on-demand servers, so it's $102. That makes us a saving of 61%. Okay, so that's it for me. Thanks for listening, and don't hesitate to contact the Trackit team if you have any question.